welcome from Callaghan Innovation, the National Tech Network Manager, Mr. Jonathan Miller.
E te whare e tū nei tēnā koe. Ko mau o te maunga, ko tauranga te moana, ko ingarangi, ko te rana, me hāmua ngā whenua o tūpuna. Ko o te kaiwhakahaere, a Digital Technology Sector Manager, ki Callaghan Innovation, tēnā koutou katoa. Thanks very much for having me to talk this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am with Callaghan Innovation. It's a government agency that helps New Zealand businesses grow through commercialising innovation. And today, the theme to my talk is disruption. It's kind of a term that gets thrown around a little bit in the jargon, so I thought I'd pause and we'd sort of check that we understand what disruption means. I think disruption's sort of a subset of innovation. It's at once creative and destructive at the same time. The best example that I've got is from my personal life, where my little son just transitioned from crawling to walking. Quite a few things happened all at once. Things that were previously safe were suddenly exposed. Things that, the way that we did things before, suddenly didn't work anymore. And all of a sudden we had to lock up our dog food. But in the business world, disruption comes from a couple of different areas, I believe. The first is from business model innovation. And that's where entrepreneurs are mixing up the way that they're doing business. And we heard a fantastic example actually earlier from Teresa when she talked about My Food Bag. And if you think about the really different business model that she used, was causing that business to be disruptive. And so the first part of my talk is going to look at innovative business models and what we know about those. And then the second part of my talk is actually about technology, because technology can be disruptive as well. The nature of the way technology moves so quickly means that people can use technology as a platform to create disruption. So the second part of my talk will dive into a couple of technology areas which I think are important for you to keep an eye on in your industry. So the first part of the talk is business model innovation. Now at Callaghan Innovation, we really like this framework that some folks over in Chicago came up with called the 10 types of innovation. They were out of a big consulting company. They did a lot of research to come up with this framework, and we think it makes a lot of sense, and we use it fairly regularly. It's called the 10 types of innovation. Larry Keeley was the person that led this work. And what he did was he looked at about 1,200 innovations over the last 200 years, everything from the Model T forward and like big world sort of changing innovations like that. And this team of researchers looked at what were the kind of commonalities between these different innovations and what could we learn from them. And what they found was, well, the first thing they found was that there was actually, you could sort of categorize the innovations into 10 different types of innovations. And I am going to kind of explain what those 10 types are a little bit further on, so don't stress too much about that now. But the important thing was that there were 10 distinctive types. The second thing that they found was that the innovations that were really successful were actually the ones that innovated across a number of different types all at once. And that's why Larry Keeley says that innovation isn't about one thing, it's about the elegant integration of many things. So the next thing that they looked at was that some present-day companies, some really leading innovative companies, and they looked at where those companies were investing in terms of those types of innovation. And those two big orange bars in the middle there is at the product part of innovation. And so that was where most of the effort was going. Now the product part is all about how good is your product? What sort of good features are they? Does it have? And perhaps that's the bit that most of us are familiar with, that idea of better product, better features. And certainly this is where most of those companies were putting their effort. But then when you look at where the value from that investment comes from, it's actually not so much from the product. It's from some of these other areas like service, customer engagement. These areas like profit model were really, really important, but companies weren't investing much in those areas. And then to kind of, finally, what they found was they looked at US listed companies and then using stock price as a measure of a sort of a proxy for success. They found that the more different types of innovation that these companies were using, the more successful they were. So that line up the top was the companies that were innovating across 5 or more types of innovation, and they were having the most success. So that's the key idea. The key idea is if you want to be successful, you have to be not just innovating in one area, you need to be innovating right across those 10 types of innovation. So I was going to quickly try and explain it. We're under a little bit of time pressure, but and Callaghan Innovation does offer workshops in this topic. So if you feel like I rushed through it a little bit, then you know where to call if you want to find out a bit more. And actually, I was thinking about my food bag and what Teresa Gatting was talking about before, and I believe she's probably innovating right across these 10 different types of innovation. Certainly in profit model, the first one, how they make money, it's really different to the way other businesses in the kind of food sector would do that. Network, that's how you connect with others to create value. Structure, she talked about structure and her, I forget what it was called, I think the love, the kind of the customer service crew and the way that those assets were or those people were kind of aligned. Then there was process, and I think they are using really signature processes and methods to do what they do. Then there was, of course, product performance. Product system is where I started off at Fisher & Paykel just down the road, and they do product system really well. This was at healthcare, where you buy one product and it connects really well with other products, and so they're thinking about system rather than just product. And then we get into the area of sort of service, how you support and amplify the value of your offerings, and I guess a lot of you care a lot about that type of innovation. And the same with channel. How do you deliver your offerings to customers and users? And then there's brand, and I feel like my food bag was pretty innovative with how they thought about brand, particularly with their partnership with Nadia Lim and kind of leveraging somebody else's brand to have success and build success for their own brand. That's a pretty clever thing to do. And then customer engagement, that's how you foster compelling customer interactions. And I've just sort of highlighted a few New Zealand companies which I feel like are doing pretty good job of some of these individual types of innovation. But the key point is I think you need to be innovating across a lot of different types of innovation all at once to be successful. And this video that I'm going to show you next is another good example of a company that's got an innovative business model, and it's because they're innovating across a lot of different types of innovation.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming.
good to see you.
So it's kind of a fun video, but who would have thought that those big companies like Gillette and Schick could be disrupted by, literally a couple of guys in a garage with their product? And in fact, it's their innovation. It's not really about product at all. I don't think they invested anything in R&D. They're buying their blades out of manufactured out of Asia, and they didn't develop them at all. Everything that they've done is innovated on their business model, and they've taken on Schick and Gillette and won. Actually, they got bought for a massive sum. So it's they innovated with the brand, with the story, with the video that went viral, with across a whole lot of different aspects of their business. So a similar sort of play to My Food Bag in some ways. Anyway, the second part of my talk is about technology, and remember sort of explaining that technology moves very fast, and so because of the fast-moving nature of it, you can innovate using that. And I'm going to cover two types of technology today. Well, I'm kind of bundling two into one with virtual reality and augmented reality. And then I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence. Both of these technologies, I think, are good ones for you guys to keep an eye on, maybe when you're in your sort of strategic thinking phases. So firstly, virtual reality and augmented reality. Now, that's a picture of my wife. She's experiencing virtual reality through the Google Cardboard platform. I think she's flying over New York and pretty stoked about it. That was a couple of years ago. Virtual reality is, just to distinguish between the two, that's where you typically wear something on your face, and then you're experiencing everything that you're experiencing in terms of what you can see is created by computer. Now, some of the experiences that you can have in virtual reality are pretty compelling. Probably the most compelling that I've had so far was this year at a games conference, a computer games conference called GDC. And I sat down and I put this thing on my face, and I was given a gun, which was a plastic sort of device. And in the game, I was kind of driving along, I had a co-pilot who was driving along, and I had to shoot at things out of the window. And within seconds, I was pretty absorbed in this silly game, and played it for a few minutes. Completely forgot where I was, and at the end of it, I went to put the gun down. Whoopsie! I went to put the gun down on the dashboard of the car in front of me, and then proceeded to feel pretty silly because there was no dashboard, and the gun dropped to the floor, and it's kind of just reminds you how compelling some of these experiences can be. Now, virtual reality, I'm convinced, is going to be, really big in the entertainment space, but I think it'll be really big in the training kind of space and customer engagement space as well. But maybe for contact centers, maybe the cousin that is augmented reality might be really important. So just talking about augmented reality, people I think you'd probably have to be under a rock to have not heard about Pokemon Go, which is an application of augmented reality, but quite a simple one. That's where people use their phones walking around, and they see little creatures, and they try to interact with those creatures. And those creatures are created by the computer, but they're augmented into the real world. But I think in terms of what you guys do, there's an area of augmented reality which is pretty hot at the moment called collaborative AR. And it turns out there's a research group down in Christchurch that's world leading in this space. And what they're doing is asking the question, what happens when two people are trying to collaborate and they're wearing augmented reality headsets? What if? And so I've actually taken part in an experiment in collaborative AR down in Christchurch. And I was in one room, and the other, the other experiment, the person in the experiment, the other subject was in the other room, and the object of the experiment was, how could I help this person over here solve a problem? We could both see the same thing, and I was actually able to use a pen and sort of draw circles and say, you're looking for this thing here. So rather than just sort of using my voice to describe what to do, I was able to add things into this other person's field of vision and really help them try and solve this problem. And okay, it was a bit sort of simple in the experiment, but I was thinking about how in sort of call center where you might be trying to help somebody understand something, or where you might be trying to coach someone, or you've got some knowledge which you're trying to collaborate with that person on the other end, that would be a really interesting technology. So I guess I'm just saying, it's kind of cool, by the way, that we've got some researchers in New Zealand on that subject, and I guess I'm just sort of saying, could be a good one to keep an eye on. The next topic is artificial intelligence. It gets called AI, and I think this is a really game-changing technology for you to keep an eye on. You know, this year there was a computer program called AlphaGo, which managed to beat the best human at a game called Go. Go is a sort of a strategy, sort of chess-like, played on a board with white and black pebbles. And I've never played it, but it is supposed to be the hardest game that humans play. And that's because of comparing it to chess. After 2 moves in a game of chess, there's about the next possible number of moves, there's about 400 next possible number of moves. But in a game of Go, after 2 moves, there's 130,000 possible moves that could come next. And so the people that are really, really good at Go are not people that can think of all those possible moves. They're people who can kind of intuitively sense patterns, realize how the game is going, make judgment calls, and that's how they're really good at it. And you know, up until now, trying to program a computer to solve that sort of problem has been impossible. But I say up until now because obviously this team, AlphaGo, which I think was a Google-owned program, they managed to do it. So how did they manage to do it? They did it with a new technology called deep learning. Now, deep learning is exciting. Deep learning is what the scientists do is they try to emulate the human brain. So the human brain works with a network of neurons, trillions of them actually. And scientists kind of emulate that and build these things called neural networks. Now, only about 5 years, the biggest neural network that scientists could make had 10 million connections. And everyone thought that was pretty awesome. You could do some kind of cool things. But last year, scientists in China and in collaboration with Google made a neural network that has 100 billion connections. So in 5 years, we've gone from 10 million to 100 billion. And that's a huge, huge increase in the kind of in that technology. And it turns out that when you make these big changes, you can suddenly do amazing things with these algorithms, which enable the computer kind of learn. So deep learning is a bit like a rocket ship. It needs some fuel, and the fuel that it needs is data. And of course, today with the internet, and we've got data. We've got loads of data. So you can feed a deep learning machine millions of pictures of cats, and after a while it'll learn what a cat looks like, and it'll be able to detect, and it does detect a cat that it's never seen before. Even if it's partially hidden, or even if it looks, funny looking cat, it'll still figure it out. And then obviously if you feed it all the games of Go that humans have ever played, which we've stored in databases because that's what some people have done, the computer can learn how to play Go. And that's what it did. So why is this important in sort of the real world, outside Go and sort of detecting cats? Well, I was on the plane not that long ago, and I was sitting next to an oncologist. Their job is to, treat people with cancer, and part of their job, they have to look at these images, X-ray images, and they have to look and decide whether or not this person's got a tumor. And this person told me that they only did that particular job first thing in the morning when their brain was fresh, because it's a life or death sort of matter. If they get it wrong, that could be a massive, somebody could die. And so they know that they fatigue during the day and that they get tired, and so they do that job in the morning. Now, deep learning algorithms could do that job, and actually they could look at every X-ray image that's on file, and they could do it a lot better than humans could do. And they don't fatigue, they don't get tired, and they can do it 24 hours a day. So that's sort of just one application which I think is pretty interesting. And as the technology evolves, the human-computer interface will get better and better. A lot of the things that computers can do will get better and better. Already people are working on having computers be cognizant of emotions. Are the people feeling upset or stressed? And so I feel like this technology is still moving really fast, and I do feel like it's a really important one for you to be keeping an eye on. So I've got another video to show, and this is kind of nice because it's a Kiwi connection as well. This was a scientist called Mark Sager up at the University of Auckland, who's using artificial intelligence combined with very, very sort of uber-realistic avatars of humans, and quite a famous journalist from Bloomberg Business interviewed him recently for a pretty cool program, and this is just a short clip showing that. I'll just play it now.
Face. It's our primary means of communication.
Yeah.
But it's been untapped in terms of a human-computer interface.
How can I help you?
If a computer can express itself to you in a human-like way, which is emotional, it's cognitive,
No. No.
that's when you start getting to this sort of interesting place.
Going to see an AI baby on a sunny afternoon.
The fellow you meet next is a madman in the best possible way.
You're going to pull the muscles which basically lower the brow.
He's Mark Sager, a computer scientist at the University of Auckland.
So nose wrinkler would be, yeah, let's do the nose wrinkler. Crunch his nose up.
Mark became famous for building super detailed simulations of the human body and ended up winning a couple of Oscars for his work on films like Avatar and King Kong.
So let's go here and, you know.
These days, Mark is, how to put this, trying to reverse engineer the human brain. He's built a series of simulations around how the human face moves, how we express emotion, and how our neurons fire.
We're trying to build a computer which has experiences, can imagine, and basically it has its own sort of existence in a way. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to run Baby X. What we're building here is a computer that can learn. So this is Baby. She's sort of looking at us and hearing us. So if I make a loud noise, you know, she'll get a fright. This is what she can see. So you can see my face here. Hey, see that? Right. So she's not copying my smile, she's responding to me. And now this is her little baby's first word book. So you can pick a page, you know, show her something, but she has to be looking at it. So get her attention.
Hi, baby. Hi, hi, hi. What do you see? What's this?
Puppy.
Puppy. Very good. What's that, baby?
Apple.
This is because we're in New Zealand, you've got to show her a sheep.
Yeah, I'll give her the word, yeah?
Yeah.
Hi, baby. Hi. What do you see, baby?
Sheep.
Sheep. Very good, baby.
Now, the long-term goals is, can we create a computational model of consciousness? Because then you can go, okay, the computer model has just become conscious of something. Is that thought or not?
Yeah.
Now, all the facial expressions, everything's driven by neural nets. So as we look around, what I'm going to do is now is remove her face, basically. And so this is what's driving in the background. And so what you're looking at now, these are all the connections lighting up, right, as the baby's doing stuff.
And this is like a simulation of what would be happening in a person's brain.
Yeah, because if you're going to make a character biological and behave naturally, then you've got to use a natural model. So that's sort of what's going on inside Baby X. Now we take this stuff and we now connect it to cognitive computing systems. So you've got biological neural networks connected to artificial intelligence models, and the potential for that's enormous. that's where the future's probably going to be.
Maybe.
Yeah, so pretty amazing, right? What's going on right here in New Zealand, and that is world-leading research, and I think it's really exciting. It sort of shows where this technology is heading, and so yeah, I definitely think it's one to kind of keep a close eye on. It's not far around the corner. So I hope that the talk has given you some useful insights, perhaps been a little thought-provoking. I think, yeah, companies need to be thinking about innovating across those 10 types of innovations, and also keeping a close eye on sort of the changing technology landscape when you're doing your strategic thinking. So I'm just going to finish now with Callaghan Innovations whakatauaki, which talks about diving into the unknown and really committing to kind of taking that risk and in the pursuit of excellence. So e ai ki tā mātou whakatauaki, ruku he te wahi ngaro, hei maunga tātai whetū. Tēnā koutou katoa.